Rock the Ripple. Rock the Ripple. The Rock the Ripple podcast with Narita McInnes.
Let's do this. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Rock the Ripple podcast. I'm your host, Narita McInnes. It is awesome to be here with you as always. And today is another very exciting day because I am joined by a very special guest. He is the Number Vibrationalist. He's an all-round awesome human. His name is Donovan Gall. Donovan, welcome to the show. How you going? Did you like that?
I love that. I've got to just get this out of the way, right? I was thinking when we agreed to come together and have a co-creation, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, you feel really familiar to me, and yet we've barely ever spoken, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is that familiarity? And I just sat with it and it came to me, and I'm like, it's her vibration. I'm like, it's the vibration of joy. And I love that you call it Rock the Ripple, because the thing is, right, so what's familiar is like an energy signature that you have. And I recognize that energy signature, and like what someone vibrates ripples out, right? And you have a ripple of an energy field that's like pure joy, right? And I'm like, why is it so familiar? Because I'm like, I recognize that in myself, because if you think about your favorite people to be around, it's always like, for me, the people that most people would feel most comfortable around is people that make them feel comfortable in themselves.
Yeah.
And you have that energy, but also people that are just like not taking everything too seriously and just want to have fun and play and just enjoy the experience of being here, right? And you ripple that out. And I just remember thinking like, okay, so I'm going to chat with Narita. There was no like resistance there. I'm just like, oh, it'll be easy, because she's just so easy to be around. And I just want to say that, like, and isn't it interesting? I've hardly ever spoken to you, but you feel very familiar, and whether that's a soul recognition or something, I don't know. But you've just got this like, and it's in your voice too. There's this vibration of happiness and joy that just goes, and you could feel it out through the speaker and through your voice. So
that's so lovely. But I get it, because I get the same from you. So
there you
do you
go.
know what I mean? Like, I just feel very familiar with you, and so you must be, we're resonating at the same frequency or something, because I just think, oh, I'm chatting with Donovan. Like, I feel like I've known you for ages, and yet this is the first time we're chatting on screen.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome,
Exactly.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
you ready
no,
to
I've been
rock
good.
then? Are you ready to rock then?
Let's rock that ripple. I love it. I just love that. Not only because I've bought XRP, and that's created by a company called Ripple.
Yes.
And I'm getting pretty excited about what might be happening there. But yeah, I mean, Ripple, that's exactly what, a lot of the conversations I talk about is energy and vibration, how it ripples, out into the ether. And then I'm sure we'll go a little deep on that, about the fact that, you are vibrating energy, and it gets sent out, and then it gets reflected back to you, and listening to you and Dale, you were talking about the polarity of things, and this is why I love that you got on with Dale first, because I was saying to Dale the other day how he'll say something on one of his Telegram videos or something, and he'll literally pick up a thought I've been having.
Yes.
And I'm like, I was just thinking about that,
Yes.
And this seems to be a more frequent experience people are having in recent times. Whether we want to go sort of like woo-woo about, collective consciousness, we're all getting more telepathic. I think that's partly true, maybe because we are raising the vibration of the planet, we're in more coherence with each other. So we're able to pick up thoughts from the ether that, you feel are not yours, but then if we're all one, we're all connected. Well, it makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, this is going to be so much fun, this conversation. Are you ready? Donovan, now you know that I said off air, you've got to introduce yourself to people who May not. No, I know it's your favorite thing to do. So everyone get excited because this is his favorite thing to do. No, it's the hardest thing to do, isn't it? Because what do you
Yeah,
say?
it is.
Where do you like? Maybe just whatever you feel like flowing out. Go with that. Go with that.
All right. Well, Donovan Gall, named after the singer who wrote the song Mellow Yellow.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really. Dad
Really?
was a musician.
Ah,
So
what
and
did he
you know,
play? Was he everything or?
he's a guitarist
Yeah, yeah.
and he sang to a degree. And he really loved the singer Donovan. And
Mm,
so being the first son after three girls, so I got three elder sisters,
yeah.
mum and dad decided, yep, we'll name him after the singer Donovan. So, and growing up, I hated my name. Hey,
Really?
I really hated my name growing up. I think it's a lot of, says a lot about my entire journey in
Mm,
this lifetime, but it got to a point, I guess, probably around the time I discovered the Dr. Wayne Dyers and Hay House and all that, and started to realize that, we're all unique and we're here for, something special, which I
mm,
always felt growing up. I always felt I was here for something,
yeah,
something big.
yeah.
And don't know if I'm, well, I feel I'm on that path, but
Mm,
yeah, at some point it flipped and I really love my name now because it's unusual,
yes.
you know, um, and people don't forget that name because it's usually a surname.
Is it? Oh, I do know. I had a Donovan at my high school, and he was a legend. He still is a
Oh,
legend.
wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
So there's
okay. Yeah.
something
Well,
in the name.
there you go. All Donovans are legends. It's official.
Yeah.
But so anyway, yeah. So Donovan Gall. I live in Canberra. You're in Radelaide, yeah?
Radelaide, yes. Radelaide.
I've never been to Adelaide. I can't
Haven't
wait
you?
to go there.
I haven't
No.
been to Canberra, so we'll have to do a swap, like
Oh, yeah. Be interesting your experience at Canberra. Most people
yeah.
that come to Canberra go, "Oh my god, I'm never going back there again."
Yeah, I've heard that. You're lifting the vibration there. That's why you're there.
I truly
Putting up.
believe that.
Yeah, I
Like,
do. Yeah.
on a serious note, I think we're all put where we're meant to be, right?
Mm. Mhm.
And there's no accident. So it's a very dense, heavy vibration in Canberra because we know what it represents, right?
Mm. Yeah.
And I look at my journey, from childhood, and I went through school, hated the indoctrination. I failed at everything except for music, right?
Mm.
um, I hated maths, hated science, hated it all. And I had the typical bullying that most old souls have to go through to wake up and wake something up within you, to get the fight within you to go grow and evolve and
Yes.
expand.
Yes.
So I had all that, and so I got to year 11, and I just turned to mum and dad and said, I can't fucking do this. This is awful.
Mm.
Um, I actually just skived off. I didn't even hardly go to college in year 11.
Mm.
And then it sort of came up. I'd been following dad around the garden as a kid forever.
Yeah.
And he'd been a ranger at Minamurra Falls near Wollongong. And I used to go on Saturdays with him and follow him around. And so I developed a great love for plants and gardening. So
Mm.
they said, all right, well, you can't leave school unless you get a job or something.
Mm.
So I got a traineeship in horticulture,
Oh, okay.
and which is like a 1 year introduction,
Mm.
because I applied for an apprenticeship and they said, we're not going to give you the apprenticeship. For whatever reason, I didn't have the marks, the school marks to get into an apprenticeship. So they said traineeship is like an introduction and then you can apply for an
Right.
apprenticeship. So
Yeah.
that's exactly what I did. But in the first year that I did the traineeship, it was like a duck to water, with plants and everything, and
Mm.
learning the Latin name of plants. That unlocked some kind of ancient knowledge in me because Latin just came so easily.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
like the
awesome.
botanical names of plants.
Yeah.
I did so well. I got trainee of the year, and
Oh, that's just showing off. Well done. That's awesome.
yeah. But I just think back about this, and I'm like, that was so random. But I did so well, and then I
Mm.
applied for the apprenticeship. So I did a 4 year apprenticeship at Parliament House as a gardener.
Mhm.
And then got put in all these cabal headquarter places like Government House, American Embassy, Duntroon, ADFA. I went to London and worked for the City of London.
Wow. Wow.
And that was right at the time. A week after I turned up in London, Diana's funeral was on,
Oh, was it then? Wow.
and I was working for the contractor in the City of London that was organising all the barriers and the road and the crowd and everything. So I
Wow.
actually worked on the Mall the night of her, like before her funeral.
Wow.
So
Wow.
going full circle, this is what I'm saying about getting back to we're put where we're meant to be.
Mm-hmm.
And even though a lot of people come to Canberra, like a lot of my friends from Melbourne came to Canberra for the big protests and stuff, and Camp Epic.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my God, it's so dense. How can you stand it here? And I'm like, I've adapted because I just accepted where I was put, and that's part of where I'm meant to be, you know?
Mm. Yeah.
So yeah. So anyway, so that's all that. And then I went on public service career, 27 years in horticulture, got qualified and did really well and all that. But then at one point in my journey, you know how you go through that thing where you identify yourself with your worth with money, how much money you earn, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I got to a point where I'm like, because gardeners, they're not that well paid. I was like, oh, I need to increase my income capacity.
Mm.
So I tried a public service job, a desk job. And being nature boy, it was
Mm.
like I was in four walls around me and I was just like so uncomfortable.
You would have been.
And so I was already like dealing with a bit of low self-esteem about the fact I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough, I don't feel comfortable in this environment.
Mm.
And again, you know how you magnetize what you're vibrating, right? So then I naturally attracted a bully in the
Yeah.
workplace.
Yeah.
So I got severely bullied by this woman. She was an EL2, and she just, I don't know what it was. She set up a nice little feminocracy around her in the public service there. And I came in and she didn't like this little divine masculine energy messing with her chi, you know. So she bullied me so bad that I ended up leaving, and it was the worst experience I'd ever had, and it was the closest I ever got to any kind of depression.
Mm.
And that's when I said to my boss at the time, I said, look, I can't handle it. I've got to go. I literally had to walk out. I walked out. I went home, and then I had to do, you know, the composting and that. So I sat at home, depressed as hell. And then I bumped a book off the shelf, and it was Dan Millman's The Life You Were Born to Live.
Mm.
And if for anyone that's ever picked up that book, it's a numerology book.
Mm. Yeah.
So I flicked through, and it was
Hold
actually
that thought. Hold that thought.
yeah. Are you kidding? It's right there, yeah.
I heard you say this the other day in something else with Dale and Mads.
Yeah.
That's
There it
the
is.
book. So for
Oh.
anyone who's listening to this, you won't be able to see it, but obviously that's the book. That's the one. So I pulled it out of the archives in my bookshelf. I thought I'll show Donovan.
I know, awesome.
So that's the
when you see
one.
when you see what books someone has, it tells you a lot about who they are, I reckon.
Yeah. So you literally hit it, and synchronistically, of course, it was meant to happen, of course.
Yeah. Well, my second girlfriend, who was my longest first great love in life, you know, 16. She was 16, I was like 18.
Yeah.
She actually gifted it to me for my birthday, and I put it on the shelf and just ignored it and thought numerology was the stupidest thing I'd ever heard about. Like, her uncle was a bit of a numerologist, and I sat with him one day. He's this real hippie guy with plaits in his hair, and he started talking about numbers and explaining to me that, you know, the name of my gardening business that I was gonna create, you know, related to numbers. I thought it was so like woo woo.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just it did not do anything for me. So I put that book on the shelf, and then so here I'm sitting at home. I knock it off the shelf, and I'm like, okay, well, all right, I'll have a look. And I flicked to 33-6, which is my life path number, and I read it, and I went, oh my God! And in that moment, something awakened in me,
Mm.
and then I was like a sponge. I had to read every number, every book. I started doing all my family, all my friends, all their numbers. I was like, you know, like a bat out of hell in numbers.
Yeah.
And it just helped me make sense of the universe, of the world, of my existence and everything. And it just made sense. Like, I'm just like, Oh my God. So I just studied the basic numerology concepts. And then as time went on, it developed. And this is how I've ended up talking to people like yourself. I've just gone along this long journey, and it's been a kind of awakening, spiritual awakening that people will describe. But it numbers was the thing that actually activated that for me.
Mm.
But it's just another modality, in the maturity that I've developed over this spiritual journey, because I've been through it all. Like, I've been completely out of balance. The love and light guy, like
Yeah.
love and light, everything's beautiful.
Yeah.
There's no evil in the world. Just sit here and think good thoughts and everything will be beautiful. And we'll create the 5D earth and the new earth, I've been right to one extreme, one of the pendulum swing, right back to the other, getting completely away from spirituality, back and forth. And I feel like I've got to a nice, happy, kind of more balanced place now where, I've learnt so much through numbers and working with people, which is natural to my number. I like to work with people. I like to express and talk.
Mm.
And I like to serve. Right, that's 33 makes 6. 6 is one of the humanitarian numbers, along with 9, and it's about humanity and wanting to serve and give and spread love and all that. So I feel that it's been such a beautiful vehicle for me, even though I realize it's just another modality, because you can use astrology, you can use coaching like yourself, you can use coaching or counseling or whatever it be. But they're all modalities ultimately, kind of to get to the same point where it's, if you work on the self, you understand the world. And when you understand the world, you understand the self better. It's just like a figure eight, just keeps going and going and going.
Yeah.
And over time, you start to go, okay, now I'm sort of making an impact through the humility of knowing that, a lot of the information that I'm using, whatever modality I choose, it's coming through me, not from me.
Yes.
So it becomes the impersonal life. It's like I'm a vessel for something far bigger. I am me, but simultaneously I'm also something far more infinite.
Yeah.
I know. I'm sure you've shared similar experiences.
Oh, totally. It's huge. You saying that, like, I just, like, my whole body's resonating. It's just like, it just makes perfect sense. I think that's why people love conversations like this too, because sometimes you don't need to explain it. It's just the vibration you get. It doesn't matter the words that are coming through. You're just picking up on that,
Mm-hmm.
But I totally agree. Like, the amount of, like, I've got a journal that I've created, and one of the pages in there has got just a whole list of just some, like, different healing modalities, because it's not a one size fits all path for anyone. And you're right, those things are the things that help us to ignite something in us. And, something will help be amazing for me, but for someone else, just like, no, hits a brick wall, doesn't resonate, doesn't work at all, and think like different healing modalities like tapping, EFT. I remember when you were saying the numbers thing, that got me thinking about the EFT. And I remember this girl, we were working together, beautiful soul, and she was about to have a baby. And she was like, oh, I'm going to do this tapping so it doesn't hurt when I give birth. And I'm like, one eyebrow raise. I'm like, it's not going to hurt when you're like pushing out a watermelon out your hooja, and you're just going to tap on your head and it'll be fine. But I guess it helps to bring down the anxiety. But then a few years later, I fell into it and did it, and it was just so empowering. And so, the amount of stuff that I've released because of that tool, which it's a tool, isn't it? And so you just think that, like, again, with your book coming out at the shelf at the right time, it's the timing as well. It's the timing, and that's when we just have to really trust in the timing, that we are where we're supposed to be. We're going through what we're supposed to be, whether it's a shit time or a good time. We are exactly where we're supposed to be, and and we allow for that to flow. And when we sort of block that or kind of put up a resistance, then that's when things get tough and sort of, and we meet those brick walls. But then, are we supposed to meet that brick wall anyway? Is that part of the process? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I just got an image as you were saying that life's like a corridor,
Mm,
and we just have to keep opening doors as we go along, right?
yeah,
It's kind of like sliding doors in a way. I mean, it's such a
yeah,
powerful film in its
it
concept,
is.
you know. It's like okay, you'll go past the door and you'll go, this one? No, not that one. I'll do the one over there. So you open that door and that completely changes you into a new corridor, which, sends you down this other corridor, this other journey,
Mm,
which will open other doors. And it's very much like that, you know. And I was thinking too, like with tapping, right?
yeah,
So in each modality, this is why I love a little bit of everything. I
yeah,
can't I
same.
can't not I see value in everything. It's like
Yeah,
music. I can see I really enjoy like everything from death metal because I can hear the talent in the guys that do the growling. Even though
yeah,
I don't really like it, but
yeah,
I appreciate the talent they have for it, you know?
yes, yeah.
I see value in that. And I love jazz and I love classical and I love rock and I love dance music and I love drum and bass, like same with like modalities,
Mm,
and healing modalities or awareness modalities, whatever it be, like tapping. So I remember I looked into tapping for a little bit, and I even was trying it. Wasn't resonating for me so much at the time, but I did
yes,
try it.
yeah,
But as you were talking, I'm like, okay, that's really interesting because it's like numbers, right? But it's rhythm. It's also rhythm.
mm-hmm,
And if this woman's about to go into massive pain, but she's focused and she's got this rhythm going,
mm,
which rhythm is numerical. And I just suddenly realized, like, so okay, maybe having grown up learning drums, so I'm a drummer.
mm,
Rhythm is numerical. It's numerology in a different form, right?
yeah,
Because 4/4 beat, 6/8 beat, 3/4 beat, right?
mm,
That's a numeric, and as Pythagoras said, all is number.
mm,
So it doesn't matter whether you look at whole galaxies or the Fibonacci sequence in a sedum plant, right?
yeah,
And you can see that pattern. It Everything seems to be built on the building blocks of a numerical formula, everything in existence. So
mm.
it's a way we make sense of existence itself. But yeah, so rhythm and tapping, I can see how that's actually it's another form of numerology in a way.
It is.
Um, and rhythm because you go 1, 2. I can't remember how you do it. But it's the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then you say your intention or whatever. I can't quite remember because it's so
Yeah,
long ago. But
yeah.
yeah,
Well, it's and you're tapping on, and what you're doing is you're tapping on different parts of your body, well, just your face mainly, and your thymus here, and it's helping clearing. Like we've got the energy centers within our body as well, so it's clearing the energy as well. So, and sometimes it's like magic for people. Like I've seen people like with severe PTSD or migraines and things like that, and it clears it. But also the emotional trauma as well, all that stuff that's stored in your body, and
mm,
somehow it just clears it. But there's so many tools that can help with that as well. But that one is just a hugely powerful one. But then you've
mm.
got hypnosis, or your quantum healing hypnosis technique. Have you ever done that? Have you ever done that? It's not like past life regression, but it kind of is. Oh no, I think he's frozen. Dun dun dun. All right, hold on. Hold on to your hats, everyone. Hopefully he's going to come back. You there?
Oh wow, we got bumped off.
We so got bumped off then. That was crazy.
Oh man, too powerful. What you were
Too
saying.
powerful. Well, that was pretty chilled, I thought.
The
Welcome
last
back.
the last word I heard was hypnosis. You hypnotized Zoom
I
and it bumped
did.
off.
I was like, he's really staring at me with this answer. What's going on here? Because that's so funny. Because I was asking, had you done quantum healing hypnosis before, like gone under and done that, or not gone
Look,
under?
I haven't. No, I've been friends with people that have studied. I actually looked into it myself,
Yeah.
but I saw how many sessions you had to do, like to to sort of become qualified, and I was
All
like,
right.
oh man, I ain't got time for that right
Yeah.
now. So Oh, and I'll park that. Maybe they'll come back one day. But yeah, it's very powerful. I love it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I can't remember what else I was saying because I was like, wow, he's really staring at me. So I was like, he's really intense.
He's hypnotized.
He's hypnotized. That's so funny. So I might have been talking a bit. But yeah, what we're saying, yeah, just so many different tools and modalities, isn't there? And there's no right or wrong. There's just what's right for you at the time. And what will help some will help another. But yeah. So yeah. And so your number, you are a 30. What's your number again? Your life path number? 33?
33, yeah.
Yeah. So you've got, is that triple then the lessons as well as the thing, or like
Feels like triple, yeah.
Yeah.
So we take the vibration of 3 and we say it's double. So it's double the talents, gifts, and abilities of the 3.
Yeah.
But it's also double the challenges and, the growth that you have to go through to live up to that higher vibration of the master number 33.
Yes. Yeah.
But again, for those that don't understand about numerology, it's not putting a hierarchy saying master numbers are better than any other number. It's just a different vibration, right? Yeah. That, I believe that we incarnate, we actually choose this vibration that we're going to operate with in this lifetime. And so that 33 is very much, it's being a master number. You're here to master something, which can make your journey can be much more difficult than the average person. Because as we say, it's double. So there's a lot more to overcome as a master number. So don't be jealous. Everyone out there, don't be jealous if someone says, oh, I've got a master number. Right? I'd be looking at them and going, oh, you poor thing.
Yeah.
How's that going for you?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm an 11, Donovan, so I'm with you.
There you go. I could feel you're a master number, and I do attract a lot of master numbers. And I actually haven't done readings in ages. And I did a thing with Dale in the conference with Madeline Doherty the other day.
Yes, I saw that. Yes.
And something's happening at the moment. Oh, you were there? Oh, okay, you were there.
Okay,
cool.
yeah, we go.
Something's happening to me at the moment where I'm being pulled back to start working with the numbers again, because I actually haven't done it in ages. And someone asked me for a reading because they'd been in the room, and she's a 33.
Of course.
And I'm like, okay, so I'm being asked to really work with the master numbers again. So it's interesting to watch the patterns, because that's the other thing with numbers. You get to start to recognize patterns. And I can sort of read collective energies through number patterns as well, and synchronistic numbers that people, repeating number sequences that more than one person are getting, will tell me what's actually happening in the collective.
Well, you said something really cool on that, which I'd never heard before, when you were talking about the polarity, but also of the number 5 and it being on the rock. Can you talk to that? Because I just think that's got to be shared again. It was awesome.
Oh yeah, sure. And this is so pertinent because I was thinking about your name, right? And your name, N-E, right? And then the R, and then E-E. So N-E is 5-5, and then E-E is 5-5. So you got 4 5s in your first name. And then McInnes, you got 4-3-9, 5-5-5-1. So in your second name, you've got 3 5s.
Wow.
So you got 7 5s in Narita McInnes, right?
Far out.
And I was like, man, this says so much about the vibration under that name that you're operating under the expression of that name. What shines through is a lot of that 5 energy, which is fun, wit. Oh my God, I want to know it all. I want to experience it all. And it's very much, but it's the pivot point. So to your point, so with the numbers 1 to 9, you've got 4 numbers there, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
And then 4 numbers on the other side, 6, 7, 8, 9. So perfectly balanced, the midpoint is the 5. So it's like the pivot point, the seesaw, or the middle of the pendulum swing. And that's why it's known as the number of change, because it is the pivot point for things to move through from one extreme to the other.
Yeah.
So I just really love that you've got all that 5. I knew this was going to come up, by the way. I knew it.
Yeah, I did
even
too.
though I didn't realize you were in the room when that happened the other day. So that's
Yeah,
cool.
such a cool combo. Yeah.
So, and 5's been a collective energy that I've been noticing recently. Particularly 5 and 15 has been a really big theme lately. Actually, that came up on that call as well. So what it says to me is at the moment that we're all going through this experience of where do I focus? Because this is the other thing. The challenge of the 5 is to be almost like a bit not focused, just sort of going here, there, and everywhere, wanting to know everything, wanting to understand everything, and wanting to experience everything, but never really honing in and sort of grounding in on one thing. So focus is the challenge of the 5, and collectively, I think that's what's happening at the moment. When you look out there in the world, you look at like it used to be that the amount of stuff that now happens in a day in the news and what's happening in the world, that used to be a month's worth of news.
Yeah.
But it's like all happening in one day, every day. And it's just like, it's so overwhelming, it's like, oh my God, bang, bang. It's like watching fireworks going off,
Yeah, it's mental. It's mental.
It's mental. And it's really taking a lot of us to a state of like, oh shit, it's very overwhelming. How do I stay grounded and centered at this time where it's very, very chaotic? So I think that's why I'm seeing a collective theme of the vibration of 5 all around at the moment, is that, we're at a time of great change. That's exactly what the 5 represents. And we're seeing the breakdown of institutions and, structures like we've never seen before, and it really takes a lot for us to sort of like sit here and go, okay, what's my role? How do I become a stable energy amongst the chaos, which is all what we study. I know, I can tell you've read all the books, you've listened to your Dr. Wayne Dyers and your Louise Hayes probably, and many, many, many others. It was always about learning, how to be that, like the Buddha, to be the peace within the chaos.
Yeah.
And I feel that's the real call at the moment for us all. And hey, I'm guilty of getting sucked into this stuff, like, because I love it. Like, I'm like Dale, like that. A lot of people are like, oh, don't listen to the mainstream media. That's distraction, blah blah blah. And I'm like, no, I love it. I love getting a bit of everything. Because I feel like that rounds you out to have a more, what's the word? A more
balance.
Yeah, it does. It actually comes back ultimately to balance.
Yeah.
That if you can see everything that's happening, you're qualifying yourself more to make a more discerning level of understanding of what's going on,
Yeah.
rather than just going, oh, I'm just going to focus on what feels good, love and light, and you're in a little love and light bubble, but you're starting to lose touch with, well, no, but if it's happening, it's meant to be happening. There are things happening, that can build your level of compassion, empathy, understanding of where we're at and where we're headed. So that's why I like to actually look at everything that's going on and then bring that back to self. Yeah.
Yeah.
How have you been feeling it?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm resonating with everything you're saying. And I think as well, like when you were saying that just got me to thinking like I mean, obviously we can never know the full picture with us just standing here, this little person who's everything as well, but it kind of allows you to like sort of, kind of look up. I don't know how to explain it, but I know you're getting what I'm saying, but to see big picture of everything, because there's so many layers. So when you're having a conversation with someone that's maybe obviously you're on the same vibration because you're having a conversation, but sort of sees things at different levels, you can only have that conversation to a certain point. But like, so some people will understand things from their perspective on that layer, and may not see the other layers that are there. Do you know what I mean? Like, am I explaining myself there? Do you know?
Beautifully.
Yeah.
You're bringing the eagle's eye view.
Yes.
Which means that you've got greater access to cohere with anyone, and no matter where they're at.
Mm.
And I think
Yeah.
that's where you have a more valuable impact, because ultimately, we're not really able to sort of make a positive impact unless a person feels heard and seen.
Mm.
And if
Yeah.
they are seeing the world from their worldview and they feel like you've got no idea where they're coming from, you're not going to have that coherence.
Mm.
So I think it is great to have that ability to be able to tap in from wherever they're coming from. And it's developing the awareness, your
Yeah.
self-awareness, isn't it? Where you can see from another person's perspective.
Yeah. Yes.
Because life is 8 billion perspectives, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Right? There
No
is
one will ever see
literally
it the same.
there's literally not one person that is exactly the same as another, even if you were, conjoined twins.
Yeah. Yeah.
When they grow up, they end up two completely unique personalities.
That is so weird you just said twins, because I had this video pop up on my phone yesterday of what are they called? The two heads but one body. And
Conjoined
that
twins, yeah.
yeah, thank you. That's what I was looking for. And they're two different people as well. Like somehow they've lived a longer life, because normally they're not supposed to. But yeah, it's just to your point, isn't it? It's just
Mm,
even though they're sharing the same body, they still
mm,
have different tastes in men, different food tastes, everything. It's just yeah. So I just thought interesting point there.
It's
Mm,
such good evidence that, in understanding that existence. It's like, so 8 billion perceptions on reality, right? And
mm.
this is where I end up getting just in love with everyone and everything because it's so fascinating, right?
Mm,
And I always used to think on that deeper level. So you've got your perspective, I've got my perspective, right? We are
mm.
now in an interaction where we're sort of we're sharing information, but we're making agreements on, yeah, that's how I experience it. Me
Mm.
too, right? So
Yeah.
humanity and the nature of reality is we make agreements on similarity, right?
Mm.
Yet through the perceptive uniqueness of our own reality view,
Mm.
right? But I always love this idea that even if you and I say, oh my God, I have had the exact same experience of that, I still cannot prove what it felt like for you to have that same experience,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you could take anything. So we could be sitting in front of a bonfire,
Mhm.
and you can go, I'm feeling this heat, I'm seeing these colors, I'm right, but I still can't prove that you're seeing that fire the exact same way that I am.
Yeah.
And I really love that, and it just makes me love people, because I'm like, how I just, you're another beautiful expression of the whole.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
And so unique. And this is why I love the numbers and working with people, because as I drill down into the more finite points of their number code,
Mm.
it's never exactly the same for two people, even if you were born on the same day,
Yes.
right? Why have you got a different name? And the letters equate to numbers. You're expressing that same life path number through a
Mm.
different vibration through the expression of your name. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you have what are the numbers in your name? Like, do you have any sort of standouts that as well? Or is it
Well, I do. The number 6 is
yeah.
very,
Oh, as yeah.
very, very big part of my vibration. And the funny thing is, Gall, Gall, the
Mm.
double L is 33.
Oh,
So
of course.
so it confirms my my life path mission, and
Yeah.
so there's all these little codes that just, that can scream out loudly at me when I see someone's chart.
Mm.
And it's just beautiful, because what happened to me, I studied the basis of numerology after Dan Millman's book and all that, and learnt all the archetypes of each vibration of the number. But then it became more intuitive.
Yeah.
It unlocked, and I'm sure this is true for most people that have whatever different modalities that you choose to work with. there comes a point where it becomes something more quantum. I like to use the word quantum, right?
Mm.
So quantum to me is superposition, right?
Mhm.
So it's like, as I interact with this modality, the modality is interacting with me, and the wisdom within it will work through me.
Mhm.
And I think this is how a lot of powerful healers work, right? Once they get out of their head of the technical part of understanding the modality, something cosmic and intuitive starts to move through them.
Mm.
And I think that's why whatever modality which is has healing abilities contained within it, even if you're doing astrology,
Yeah.
you can heal someone's trauma just by helping them understand their planetary alignments. Because when they hear, okay, I can see that there's been a lot of family trauma or sexual abuse, or because I can see it in your planets,
Mm.
just them being validated, and they go, oh, I feel heard and seen.
Yes, back to that. Yes.
And again, part of the healing process is literally just acknowledging. Once it's been acknowledged, a certain amount of the energy of that trauma dissipates immediately just by being acknowledged. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. You can't change what you don't acknowledge. Who's that?
Yeah,
Tony Robbins or Wayne Dyer, someone. But you
yeah.
can't, it's that is key, I think, because
Mm,
otherwise we're going around with blinders on. And sometimes there's things there to acknowledge that we're aware of, but then there's the patterns and programs and stuff underneath that we're not even aware of. So then that's when you're removing the layers of your old limiting beliefs and all that sort of stuff that brings that to the surface again at the right time when you're ready to deal with that thing and
mm,
acknowledge it. And even if it's painful, when you do that, I love what you said. It takes away a whole heap of that energy that was once there. And people just feel that's why people feel so much lighter after just being seen and heard and being, I guess, yeah, validating that thing that happened and just, yeah,
mhm,
absolutely.
mm. And this is,
Absolutely.
I've noticed, in the year 20, since 2020 till now,
Yeah.
2023, there's been this explosion of everywhere you go. There's these Zoom calls, groups of people having a conversation, right?
Mm.
And my experience in the last 3 years, and this is why I sort of stopped doing readings, but I'd say to people, just call me, let's have a conversation, right?
Yeah.
And numbers may come into it, or I may feel they don't need to, right? But I've been feeling that there's been a real power in the power of conversation that is particularly healing at this time. And that in itself, it's not like it's a session, so to speak,
Yeah.
right? It's just the conversation and the interaction is the healing modality itself. And I find it interesting that now we're dealing with this thing that's come up called the voice, right?
Yes.
The timing of it, right? Because
Yes.
as we know, and I'm sure a lot of your listeners would know, by the way, I don't know why you don't have 5 million followers. It's just ridiculous to me because I just think the stuff you just, it doesn't make sense to me that you don't have like millions of followers. To me, I already feel that you do. I feel them all there. I think they're coming. So I don't know.
Oh
I
gosh.
I just had to say that. But as a lot of your listeners would know, like with numbers and vibrations and energies,
Mm.
those that are working for nefarious intentions on the planet,
Mm.
right? They invert everything.
Yes.
So they
Yeah.
flip it around, right? And people always go, "Oh, Donovan, what's the 666?" Right?
Mm.
Because they're like, "Oh, that's the evil cabal number. That's the Illuminati number." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Okay, 666. Flip it upside down, you get 999, right?
Yep.
Now, 999 is about the highest vibration you could possibly get, right? So contained within the nine is all the other numbers 1 to 8 culminate as a complete. That's why it's known as the number of completion. All the
Mhm.
other number vibrations and everything that you've learned and all the positive and negative experiences culminate in the nine. So
Mm.
if you flip 666 and you invert it back, so they've grabbed something and inverted it, you get
Yes.
666. So they've made it submissive to the high vibration. And you invert it back, you get 999. So um, so the inversion of reality, which we are currently deprogramming through each and every one of us, agreed?
Mhm. Mhm. Yep,
Right?
absolutely.
because talking about that healing journey we're all on, what we're doing is the process of deprogramming.
Yeah.
And deprogramming the subconscious mind. So once we've dealt with what's the alpha state, or the front mind, what do you call it?
The conscious, just
The
conscious,
conscious.
unconscious.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
The conscious mind, then we start delving into the subconscious mind, which is a bunch of programs that are running that are not in our conscious awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And when we dive to that deeper level and that deeper state within us, we can deprogram. So that's actually inverting back what they had done to our minds, our consciousness, our numbers, everything, reality itself. So it's actually fun to look at the inversion of reality right now and watch how we're flipping it back to its natural state.
Mm.
And I find it interesting that when you think about it, these cabal people, right, they have the occult knowledge.
Yeah.
They know numerology and astrology and all these things, because when you
Mhm.
dive into the symbolism, you can see they know
Yeah.
exactly what they're working with. And this is why so many people are hungry in their awakening experience to go looking for kind of spiritual knowledge, occult
Yes.
knowledge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they can feel that there's something off, but they're using that power against us.
Mm.
So we want to, as a collective, we've had enough. We're going, no, we want to get back to our natural state of being and
Mm-hmm.
have this earthly experience the way it was meant to be, which is, absolutely beautiful and amazing.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, that was a bit of a rant. I don't know where I was going with that.
Loved it. Love the rants. Rants are the best. No, but I agree as well. And when we're doing that work on ourselves, because obviously we can only do the work on ourselves, that then creates that ripple, because we're uncovering our own subconscious, unlimited, beliefs and those kind of things. When we do that, that ripples out. So that lifts, or even just brings us back to our own essence of who we truly are. So, and that just raises it. So that's why no one can ever underestimate, even just this conversation, saying hello to a person at the grocery store who was having a shitty day. I always use that example, because they might have been having the shittiest day, and you just gave them a bit of hey, how are you? And that just made them have a better day, which just rippled out. And then I just go to and then they spoke to someone, and then that person was inspired, and then they created a YouTube video, and then that video went viral, and that went to millions of people. You have no idea how it will affect. And when more of us are
100%.
doing that, it's cool, isn't it?
It really is. This is one thing I get a bit of a hard time from people that want me to lock into one way of being right now with all the chaos.
Yeah.
Right. And I get in trouble from people that are like, oh, freedom fighters, because I'm doing this gig. So we got our second gig with that
Oh,
band.
you're doing another gig. All right.
Yeah, we got another one already. So
rock out.
not this Saturday coming, but the 15th of July.
Yep.
We were going to be playing in Albury, but then the venue wasn't available. And synchronicity, when I was a kid, I used to look at these cartoons and thought, what a cool thing. I'd love to go to that place one day if it exists.
Yeah.
And they had to move the gig. It's at the Edamogga pub.
Edamogga pub, never heard of it, but sounds awesome.
Okay, so growing up, there was a cartoonist who used to draw this skew-looking building with this truck on the roof, and it was real cartoon-like.
Yeah.
They then went and built it for real, and it's a pub just outside Albury.
Really? Oh, you have to get some photos of that, share that with the team. Yes.
Totally. So anyway, so VaxCon, which is the name of the band, which is it's a freedom movement band that formed.
Yeah.
Because I was at Canberra at the last protest, and I went up to this guy that was on the mic, and he had his keyboard and was playing music that day. It's something, that little divine little voice said, just go tell that guy you're a drummer. Just tell him.
Yeah. Awesome.
So I walked up to him and I said, I just got to let you know I'm a drummer. I don't know why I'm supposed to tell you this. And I said, oh, maybe something will come of it. I don't know. And then walked away, basically.
Yeah.
And then within a week, he rang me and he's like, oh, we've got this fundraiser for Dazzle and blah, blah, blah. And it all went from there.
Yeah.
So anyway, what was I going to say about the gig? Anyway, can't remember where I was going with that, but I remembered what I was getting to before with the inversion of things.
Yeah.
So the inversion, so the voice.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
right, because we're talking about how a conversation is very healing.
Mm.
And then when I was lucky enough to connect with a lot of First Nations Originals down here in Canberra during Camp Muck at a time, and that started my education in understanding a lot more about that.
Mm.
And they have all this very high level spiritual knowledge within their tribal system, you know, creator spirit and how that works with mother, the earth and everything. How they actually have protected their spiritual knowledge is through oral traditions, through the voice.
Mm.
So speaking person to person is how they pass on the wisdom and the spiritual knowledge, and it's through the voice. And so to me, this voice, the way it's being portrayed, what they've done is they've inverted it, and they're pushing it hard at a time where they're starting to realize people are awakening. We now know their inversion playbook. And I think that on an occult level, what you see governments, these World Economic Forum governments all around the world are doing now, they're having to push so hard because they're realizing if they don't push so hard on the inversion, too many more people are going to wake up, and then they're going to be exposed, which is happening and is going to happen. Nothing can
Anyway.
stop it, right?
Yeah.
So I remembered where I was going with the inversion and the voice now, but yeah, and I think that's why the timing of it's like it's so obvious. It's called the voice, like
Yeah, it's nuts.
you know, saying that it's supporting Indigenous people, and yet we know if you've done the research, it's doing quite the opposite, where it wants to bring in the foreign occupiers to actually steal the land, control the people, and once they're in and we lose it, you know, if they were to complete their Agenda 2030, that's like total dystopia, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? But I think it's really good to talk about the inversion of reality, that, you know, what they're trying to do, because if you're not willing to look at it and we're just like going along love and light, everything's fine, and we don't stand up and do something about it, that will become our reality, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So you know, a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's fear porn, Donovan. Don't talk about it." And I'm like, "But if it's not in your awareness, then you know, if they're feeling a void, like if you don't feel your void, someone's going to fill it for you."
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
You know, so empower yourself to fill your own void with that which you want to create. Because I know you're one of those people that says, you know, create your own reality. If we let them create the reality for us, we're only got ourselves to blame in a way, you know.
Yeah, because then we're being pulled in that direction. We're just allowing, like, we're creators, and that when I say create, and I'm sure you'd agree with this too. Just we create our own reality does not mean you won't be faced with challenges and the shit won't hit the fan sometimes. Like that is part of the process and part of it. So it's, and what you said before as well, it's empowerment as well. When it's not fear porn, it's fear porn if that is all you're looking at and that's where you stay. And then that is, you are creating more of that, obviously. But in order to have balance, like the yin and the yang, there's like a bit in both. Like that's how you become balanced. That's how, and I'm sure you could relate to this too. Knowing to be balanced is by yourself having gone way off the other side, like down the rabbit hole, stuck in the rabbit holes, and then you're like, okay, I've got to come back out here, like go back to this way. It's part of the game of life. And then the more that we get to know ourselves and the more that we empower ourselves with knowledge and know that things are there, like then we can stand in our power so much more. We won't be shaken by all the shit that's going on. But then of course there's things that, you know, will like areas of the world where we will then we'll get angry about something, and that is igniting something within us to go, well, I don't want it to be fucking like that anymore. What will I do? How can I help? Instead of going, it's all shit, it's all shit, it's all shit, you go, all right, I know it's shit. What can I do to make it better? What can I do from my standpoint? And that's when you start to walk your path of, okay, I know it's shit, but what can we do? And I think, and then if each of us do that in our own way, because it will be unique to all of us, then that's when
Yes.
things change and the ripple just ripples out again.
Yeah, I love talking about anger because it's an energy that just needs to move. Would you agree with that?
Totally.
Right.
Don't repress that shit. No.
And this is
Let it
why
out.
people say channel your anger,
Mm.
right? Such a perfect way to describe using it's just a frequency, it's a vibration, anger, right?
Yeah.
And it's one of the most powerful, but used in the right way, channeled, it can be so powerful that actually, transmute it into something positive.
Yeah.
So I think I always love to say to people, they're like, oh God, and I'm being angry. I'm like, good, love your anger. Anger's an energy, like
Yeah.
really powerful energy that can be used for good. Right.
Yep.
And I'm sure many of us have experienced anger in an out of control, unbalanced way coming from ourselves.
Of course.
And we're like, oh shit, okay, that does damage. I don't want to do that. No one really does want to hurt another person if you're on the path of good intention.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So, again, learning to love and embrace all the aspects of yourself, dark and light, all the vibrational frequencies of all the emotions, right? They've all got a different color. They've all got a different number. Again, you could relate them to a different planet, right? All the different emotions have their role to play. Don't make your emotions wrong. Embrace them, love them, ask them, what are you here? Why are you here? Why am I feeling this way? And what are you calling? It's usually calling you to something.
Yes.
And that's where the empowerment is the outcome or the end result of the emotions. And then that's what makes us human, right? That's the human incarnation, is the gift of being human, is the fact that we feel emotion.
Yes. Yes.
It's a beautiful thing.
It is. And I love that you said, don't make your feelings wrong. Because like people do, like, oh, I shouldn't be feeling sad about this. Or I shouldn't be happy about. No, you should feel what you need to feel. And if you're feeling sad in a moment, honor it. And like, obviously the goal isn't to stay there, but it's to feel the feelings. If you're angry, like, go into your room, scream into the pillow, punch the shit out of it, but feel it. And that is keeping the energy flowing through you. Otherwise it gets stuck in your energy system. And then that causes different issues. And so like it's, removing that. And again, that's why the healing modalities or any modality can help as well, because it's clearing stored, blocked energy. And so let it out, like a good fart, just let it out.
Yeah. I love that. That's such a 5 way of expressing that. That's so good. It's like Dale's recently, we were talking about taking a morning shit and how that's such a great aspect of being human.
Yeah.
And I was like, that was the thing you talked about. I'm like, oh my God, I've actually been thinking about that very same thing. and then he said it and I was hacking myself. But anyway,
oh, that is awesome.
But you've just let me into it. And this is something that really got me to such a good place, right? When I was young, I was repeating a generational pattern. Okay. So my father, he had a really bad temper, right?
Yep.
And I got to about 13, 14 years of age and I took on the same pattern, right? And it took me years to deprogram this. What do I do with this anger when it comes up in me?
Yeah.
And I literally became a mini me where I'd throw plates, I'd punch people, and I had an uncontrollable temper because when that emotion of anger came up in me, in my upbringing, like I was pretty suppressed, like a lot of us, we all had different dynamics in the home, but, I was under a pretty suppressed dynamic. Yeah. Wasn't allowed to have a voice. Basically walked on eggshells.
Seen and not heard.
Yep, because my dad had such a massive kind of temper, right? I shut down within myself. It caused me extreme low self-esteem. I was so shy I wouldn't speak to anyone, right? Look at me now, right? But then also I was doing, I was suppressing all my emotions. So then I hit sort of like the next phase of my growth and evolution. I get to about 14, 15, 16, and I didn't know how to deal with the emotion of anger. So I actually repeated the generational pattern. And I'm like, oh
Mm.
my God, I'm becoming one of those violent people, not severely violent, but just
Yeah.
like not being able to control my anger when it comes.
Yeah.
And it occurs to me that this is like generational patterns. If you look at the way the world was
Mm.
in the, let's say, up to the 80s, so the 70s, the 60s, the 50s, the 40s, right? It was all about pushing down your emotion. Oh, no, we don't talk about that,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
So a few generations in a row, and then we get to our little generation like ours, and we start going, oh, hang on. Are we just going to keep repeating that same generational pattern, which was simply just suppressing emotion, which
Mm.
holds generational patterning in place,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
So, God bless all of us that are willing and have been willing to do, we say do the work. That's the
Yep.
work,
That is.
to go, oh my God, I have to feel my emotions and then realize I can actually use it in a positive way. Because for 3 or 4 generations before us, it's just repeated because they didn't do it. They didn't do that work,
Mm. Yeah.
you know? And if you don't do that work, you will inevitably repeat your generational patterns. Because this is where I got to such a level of forgiveness for my dad, right, growing up. And I'm like, oh God, it was tough, sometimes pretty violent, right?
Yeah.
And I got to a place where I love him. And we've got a beautiful relationship now. And I've forgiven him for
Mm.
everything, right? But
Mm.
the only way I could do that was because I had to understand where his pattern came from.
Mm-hmm.
And his pattern came from his father. So my
Yep.
grandfather, he was violent
Mm-hmm.
growing up, right? And he bashed the shit out of the boys when they weren't doing doing the right thing or annoyed him, whatever. So they lived in fear of him,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then his father, right? So I could see the pattern. So then when I look at my own father, I go, I'm allowed to forgive him because I can see where he was just repeating the pattern because he just didn't have that level of awareness that I've now got. I'm so grateful that
Mm.
I made the choice to address this. And then, as we often say, and we understand that we're connected to the collective consciousness. If one person breaks the generational pattern, that has a ripple effect.
Yeah.
That rocks the ripple,
It
right?
rocks the ripple. Big time.
Every one person that breaks a generational pattern, you've actually done something for the whole of humanity. You've cleared out one generational trauma and pattern, and because you did it, we're on a better trajectory for where we're going to be. It's
Yeah.
pretty exciting.
It is 1,000,000%. That's again, yeah, it's huge. It is
Yeah.
huge. Just the tiniest little bit of, yeah. You've changed the world, Donovan. You've changed the cosmos. How do you feel
So
about
have you.
that? But
Exactly.
no, doing the work is like it's not everyone's up for it because it's
Mm,
not always it is can be really gut-wrenching at times, and you really have to be
messy.
able to look at yourself
It's
and really
confronting.
see the shit
Mm,
parts of yourself and realize, actually, I have some traits and some behaviors that I really don't like.
mm,
And but again, it comes back to acknowledgement and awareness of those traits, and then
mhm,
you can go, okay, well, that's how I was. That's what was passed down. That's what I learned. That's what protected me. That's what kept me safe when I was younger in this trauma. I'm aware of it now. I'll change it now. I'll
that's it.
create my own reality from a new path from this moment, you know?
And the work, it's like the work never ends, right?
No, it
Because
doesn't.
you
Yeah.
just keep fine tuning, fine tuning, fine tuning. But all that work, right? We
Mm.
started with this in the conversation, come full circle. All that work you're doing within self, right? But now you go to Woolies and you see some person having a really shit day and they're screaming at their partner and right? Now, what's happened is because you understand where your traumas and your patterning came from,
Mhm.
now when you look at them, you can look at them with compassion and empathy because and it becomes quite intuitive too. I'm sure that you have this experience where you can see someone having like an out of control like experience in this moment,
Mm.
and you start to actually feel, you can feel, oh, I can feel where your pain's coming from. Oh, I can see, okay, so it's financial woes, it's money that's causing you to act. That was the trigger. But in behind the financial woes that I can see, you're pissed off with your partner and you're arguing and out in public, and it's, making everyone feel uncomfortable when you're ripping out all this negative energy. But you sort of tap in, you go, no, I know that in behind those financial woes that is the trigger, there's another level of trauma and pain that's going on that you probably got from your mum, your dad, your grandparent, but right. And then you look at that person and you go, I can have compassion for you, rather than react and go, oh, how embarrassing, people arguing in public. Oh, that's such a
Yeah.
disgusting vibration, and walking around going, oh, they're not love and light, right?
Yes. Yes.
So like love and lighters can be some of the most judgmental people if they haven't done that work, right? That deep work. They actually can be like, oh, that's not love, that's not light. And they're actually are more judgmental than your average person, who sort of looks at that people and go, oh, I'm really sorry they're having a bad day, So again, when we understand self to the finest level that we can, now we get to understand everyone else in the world and how it got to be where it's at.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Totally. I
Yeah.
love that so much. I love that so much. Far out.
And that's why
Far
the world, they say that the world and the reality that we're living in, we created. It is kind of true, because it's a collective vibration where, what it mirrors back to us. What's going on in the inner universe. So
yes.
and that's why we're seeing, whilst this really hard push of this really icky stuff's happening at the moment, simultaneously there's all this beauty emerging. People talking about communities again, and community growing food and sharing and trading and loving on each other, and all that's starting to come back and emerge simultaneously, because we're doing the work. And that's the natural outcome, is community and connection again.
Yeah.
It's going to be
beautiful.
the natural outcome of that.
Yeah.
It can't be any other way. So,
it can't be. No. And I mean, and that's the thing. Like we did, like, if we created this game that we're playing in, however you want to look at it, we chose to be in this experience. We probably chose our name, Donovan. So that's why you chose your name. I'll go back to that, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, it's just when you look at it all, like, and when you say, like, both things are happening. Well, of course they're both happening at the same time. They have to be, because for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction, or whatever the saying is. And so all of this stuff is coming up, and I think for people who see this stuff that's happening and it looks dark, or it's fear porn or whatever, that couldn't be happening if there wasn't more and more light shining.
Exactly. And you know how Dale talks about the AI overlay over this reality, over consciousness, right?
Yes.
Exactly what you just said. If you think of AI as a concept, it is only in existence because it's using the data that we gave it.
Yeah.
That's what AI is.
Yeah.
It's created through the information that we have fed it, which created its ability to create a whole reality or a matrix of its own.
Yeah.
Right. So, and this is why original thought is so important, and doing something unpredictable is so important.
Yeah.
Because you break the matrix, you break the AI. If we're living in a holographic AI synthetic reality, the minute you do something original, have an original thought, or do something unpredictable, it goes, oh, that's new information I never had before.
Yeah. Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So it has to adapt.
Yeah. Yes.
Right? So, and the matrix has to adapt to this true originality. And this is why inspiration and imagination is so important and powerful for us, to sit in states of, let me go as far with my mind as I can, and come up with something so random, and celebrate my cray, right? Because we actually have the ability to have original thought, whereas AI doesn't. It can only feed off the information we give it.
Yeah, can only copy. Yeah.
So that makes us really freaking excitingly powerful, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. And when you said that, and I wish I could remember who said this, but our imagination is the most powerful nation there is.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
everything starts there. Like you paint your picture in your mind first, and then outwardly, everything starts there.
Mhm.
It all comes full circle. Everything's within, and your imagination is so powerful. And
Mm.
we've been using it along the way because of the traumas and everything like that for imagining the wrong outcome. So let's imagine something that we do want to create. We do, and that
Mhm.
doesn't mean don't look at the shit stuff. Is again, I've got to always say that, but imagine what do we want to
Yeah.
create and break the cycle, break the matrix by doing something completely out of the ordinary.
Mm.
Like Dale said, like you said, like it's just do that and just
Yeah.
trick him.
And polarity is such a great tool too, because what I like to do is if I look at the shit that's happening that I don't like, you know, Klaus Schwab, I'd like to turn him into a fart and fart him out, right? I love to look at
That's
so
brilliant.
so look at this, this communist one world government tyranny.
Yeah.
Look at it in its full force as if, okay, they complete their plan. Now go, right, what's the complete opposite to that?
Yes.
What's the opposite polarity? What
Yeah.
would that look like? What would it feel like? What would day-to-day life be like in the complete opposite polarity of that? And it's like, oh my God, like it's infinite, like how amazing and great it could be,
Yeah. Yeah.
And so spend equal time in both. And what actually happens is you end up laughing at them.
Yeah. You do, don't you?
Right? I
Yeah.
mean, Klaus Schwab as an archetype is just like Dr. Evil. Like
Yeah.
it's just like he's almost unreal. I don't even really know if he's real or if he's a clone or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But it's almost a joke. It's like, no, come on, this guy can't be serious. It can't be real.
Yeah.
Like the way he talks, and he had to have that German accent just to just to rub in a bit of communism and Nazism in there as well, like what that, like they must be laughing at us, but that's the thing, we can use that. And I think, again, getting full circle back to your vibration with all that 5 energy, and breaking down, doing the work, breaking down traumas and generational patterns, have fun with it. Like, don't get because I've been around a lot of those spiritual groups, and it's like constantly, I've got to clear out more. I've got to clear out more trauma. I've got to be, but they can get stuck in a loop of doing that. And they're forgetting to enjoy the journey. Like, truly there is no real destination, because we're all going to leave these bodies, and then we're going to go back into soul consciousness, essence, whatever it be. And we may come back and incarnate, or we may turn into angels. I don't know. There's lots of infinite possibilities of whatever that happens. But I guess you're here now. Enjoy the journey, because what else are you going to do? Just be miserable? Like, fuck. What a waste of a playground,
Yes, what a waste of a playground. Love that. Oh, love that. And that's the thing, like I've got a bit of a dark sense of humor sometimes, which has got me into trouble, but it's because, when you do look into the dark stuff and you see how fucking dark it can get, then it doesn't mean you're saying you're making light of it, but it's a way to kind of, go, and then so you have to bring in that joy, because joy is a freaking high vibration.
It's a frequency.
And it's a frequency that is, and you get people in a room just laughing. I've got a friend who does laughter yoga, and it just gets people just like, it just brings it up, because there is enough doom and gloom. We already know that. So, but it's not, you're not bypassing it by being in joy. You're actually just raising your frequency,
Transmuting it. Yeah, that's right. And that's why, like, since 2020, that's why the memes have exploded, right? Because people go, we want to laugh, we want to feel good again, and if we let them keep us in fear, then we're losing that life force energy that makes us human,
Yes.
And that's why I love it when people make these silly videos and these memes about Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum and the World Health Organization and whatever about that COVID thing, right? I just enjoy it so much, because it's so creative what they come up with, right? And people are like, oh, you're just talking about the stuff and you're adding energy but no, you're actually doing it under an intentional vibration and making making light. Like, that's why we say making something funny is making light of something. You're literally bringing a lighter vibration or frequency by doing that. So I love that shit. I love it.
It's
It,
the
it,
meme war. Like, that's what it's all been about, hasn't it? Just so many
yeah.
memes are great. I love the ones, and I just love silly humor as well, like really silly dad joke, just stupid
Yeah.
humor. Like, it's just silly, and you're just like,
Yeah.
oh, that's silly, but then it gives you a giggle, you know?
I know. I think I recognize that in your vibrational blueprint. I can feel that with you. I'm one of these. I'll literally laugh at anything, and the more stupid the joke is, the funnier it is to me.
Yes.
I love stupid shit.
Yeah.
I don't know, because it's childlike. You know what I mean? And
Yes. Yeah. It's just
um,
silly. Yeah.
and I think that's the other thing is like as you heal and you feeling better in yourself, you get to know thyself better, you
Mm.
actually get more in touch. And we could do inner child work. That's another subject, right? Which is really powerful. I've done a lot of that myself, actually,
Mm.
just off my own back. But
Yeah.
you end up experiencing life more childlike again, where it's like wonder and awe, fun, play, you know,
Yeah.
and again, imagination. And so um I just think that's almost, it's funny how you sort of come full circle and you end up being more childlike, less like adulting.
Mm.
And then that actually, the funny thing is, adults love being around adults that are more childlike because they're just more fun to be around. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. Totally. Totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, far out. I'm loving this conversation. I don't want it to end, Donovan. Can I ask you a question? I've always wanted to ask you this about the number 144. I've always wanted to
Oh,
know what your thoughts on the 144 are. Cold nose.
well, obviously I was in a spiritual group called the 1111 movement at one point, right? And
Yeah.
the founder had only started up the group and it was getting up to 5,000 people. And she's like, "Oh, I think I'm going to need some help. I'd just joined the group." And she somehow identified me. She said, "Oh, do you reckon you could help me be an admin?" I'm like, "What's an admin?" I only just joined Facebook, so I didn't know. "Oh, yeah, sounds good. I'll be an admin." Anyway,
Yeah.
that ended up being 500,000 people, that group. And it was like, oh
Crikey.
my God. And it actually sucked me in and completely absorbed my whole everything, like
Mm.
literally 24 hours a day, approving people, managing the group. And I got exposed to all this amazing information, some of it very dark, right? So it was
Mm.
really, really good. It was an education. But such a big theme in spiritual groups out there, right? The
Mm.
144. So one
Mm.
belief is there's a specific chosen group of souls called the 144,000 souls
Mm.
that are the light workers, that are going to be the ones that bring on the new earth.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's one school of thought. Then there's, probably I heard so much of this stuff about the 144,000 souls, and
Mm.
I just sort of sat with it, and I went, hang on a minute. But if there's only a set group of number of chosen souls,
Mm.
what's that doing to the others? That's leaving people out.
Yes.
So I didn't like the concept, and I went, no, you're
Doesn't
you're
feel right.
leaving, right? And you're also putting yourself on a hierarchy. You're putting yourself on a pedestal because you're the chosen ones, right? I didn't like that because for me, that's a bit too like religion,
Yeah. Yeah.
a hierarchical structure. That's the pyramid again. And I'm like, yeah, no, I don't like that. So I sat with the 144, the 144,000 for a while, and I sort of meditated and I sat with it. And what it came to was, the first thing was, it doesn't matter. It's not that important,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it is a big theme, and it's a collective number vibration that people receive.
Mm.
Along with 1111, when they have their awakening, a lot of people receive the 1111, and that's got. I could talk for an hour on that. I won't get into it because I won't stop. But but the 144 for me, I look at it as like, okay, so 44 is also, when we do master numbers, we stop at 33 because we
Yeah.
say the 44 it's just too hard. You can't, you literally would not be able to overcome the challenges if you
Oh,
went to the 44.
right.
So the master numbers are 11, 22, and 33.
Yep.
We never go to the 44. We just do 4 plus 4 equals 8, because 8 is such a strong, powerful vibration in itself with enough challenge, right?
Yeah.
So we say you can, but when you look at the 144, you've got a complete. It's such a complete blueprint vibration, because you got 1 + 4 + 4. That's 9. That's the whole 9 yards. The whole 1 to 9 vibrations. Right. So for me, the 144 is about completing something. And then the vibration of the 4 is earth, this physical plane.
Yeah.
Right. So I see 144 more like a picture than a number. I see 2 earths. So we've talked about split realities that we're living in at the moment.
Yep.
Okay. So I'll explain the 1 in a minute, but the 4 and the 4, it's like we're in 2 earth realities. And it's very true. When you look out there, you've got the people, and I hate using the term, but I haven't relanguaged it yet.
Yeah.
You've got your normies and your sleepers that are not awake or aware of what's going on, with the governments and the world and all that, and the mainstream media, right? You got those people, and then you've got us people that are really awake, aware. We've done our research, we've searched, we're kind of really aware of what's going on. So you got these 2 split realities, so 4 and 4, 2 earths, 2 earth experiences. Now the one brings the light.
Yep.
Right. So 1 brings the light. So what it's doing is the 1 is shining the light on the 2 realities, and shining that light on there so hard. So the people that receive the 144 code, it's just saying, right, you get to choose. What reality do you want?
Oh, wow.
So that's where I've got to. I don't know if that will change, but that's where I'm at. And also 144 to me is a frequency.
Yes. Yes.
It's an energy, right?
Yep.
And everything that comes with the 144 frequency and energy is about, okay, we're all the chosen ones. That's what comes with the frequency. And you need to wake up to the fact that you are a chosen one. And that's everyone has that ability, right?
Yes.
You are the chosen one because you're it. Like you're everything and you're you simultaneously. So you are, again, it's a reminder, you are the creator. The creator is you are the creator. You're an expression of all that is. So that's where I got to with the 144. It is powerful, but I think the 144,000 chosen souls, it limits what the 144 actually is trying to vibrate to us. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So that's just my take.
Yeah. No, I totally
know?
resonate. It's a frequency. Absolutely. And I always thought that too. I felt like it was limiting. Like, who are these people? How come there's only that many? That doesn't feel right to me. It didn't feel right. So I was really interested to see what you thought. So that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So like literally, and sometimes I see numbers, because I was explaining about the 5, the shape of the 5, right? We said it's the pivot point. It's got a round bottom, so it rocks and pivots.
Yeah.
Right. So the shape of the number sometimes can bring on insight. So like when I see when someone says 144, when you have the little the emoticons that you send people, like love hearts and stuff.
Yeah, on your phone. Yeah.
There's the earth one.
Mm-hmm.
So when I see 144, someone's talking to me 140, I see a 1 and I see 2 earths.
Wow.
That's how it presents to me.
Yeah, that makes so much sense, actually. Yeah. Definitely. So, okay. So you see okay. So you know how you're talking about the number 5 as well, and it's on that sort of rocking axis. What about like a 3 then, or what's another number? A 6.
Okay, 6 is a good one.
Yeah.
6. Okay, so you know how they say the 3, the 6, and the 9 are all in a family together, a number family, a vibrational family.
Yes.
Nikola Tesla uncovered this.
Yep. The
and
living universal numbers. Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to understand the universe, understand the numbers 3, 6, 9. So the 6 has the circular part at the bottom.
Yep.
The 9 has the circular part at the top. In 6, so the vibrational frequency of the number 6, it's family, children, and relationships. So it's all about the heart, right?
Yeah.
So it's that sort of heart energy. The 9 is about higher wisdom, right? Higher wisdom and a higher level of consciousness. So it's the head, the round parts at the top. If you put the 6 and 9 together, what do you get?
You get the yin yang almost, don't you?
You get the 8.
Oh, you get the 8, of course.
You flip
Yeah,
it on
right.
its side, you get infinity.
Oh, of course.
If you turn an 8 on its side, you get the infinity symbol,
Yes. Yep.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah. And the three is right. It's like pushing forward. It's like the curve at at the back of the three there. It's
Yep.
pushing forward, but it's looking back in order to push forward. So people with that 33 vibration like me, I
Mm.
also understand that part of my um what I'm here to master is to be able to look back at the past and learn from it in order to move forward,
That is so cool. Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And the one is heaven to earth,
Mhm.
as above, so below. It's just a straight line from above to below. It connects. It's the rod that connects,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
So I am connected to the ether. The ether is connected to me, right?
Mm.
And
Yep.
then we've 7, right, is the lightning strike.
Mm.
So again, as above, so below. But the interesting thing about lightning, I think I said this in the call the other day. The
Mm.
interesting thing about lightning is that a lot of people know it actually comes up from the earth, not
When it hits. So it hits.
the optical illusion is that it came down from the sky and
Yes.
hit the earth. But it's grounding. What actually happens is that bolt of lightning comes up out of the earth because it's connecting with the positive and negative charge. So it actually comes up. So the 7, which does represent inspiration,
Mm.
and it represents meditation, and it represents um, getting into the void and understanding. So what it's doing is come up from the earth and get that higher level of inspiration. Is the
Mm.
7, you
Yep.
know. So again, it's like numbers aren't just numbers; they're everything. Like they're pictures, they're feelings, they're colors, they're words, they're vibrations. They're everything.
Yeah. Far
So
out.
this is why I love them. So
Yeah, well, because and I often and I see numbers a lot. Like, I'm
mm,
definitely not a maths person, but I see a lot of numbers, and I'll see like, I'll go out on the road one day and I'll see 777 freaking everywhere. It's like you
mm,
have like a van next to each other, and then there's like 5 sevens or, 333 or like, and it's just everywhere. And then I guess you kind of just have to tap into, well, what does that mean for me? How does that, am I feeling like this is, resonating right now? Am I on the right path? Like sevens to me have often meant like on the right path, or
mhm.
does it mean that as well too? Or no? Yeah.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
yeah, and sevens very much it's the spirituality study number. So it's about
Mm.
studying the occult, studying spirituality,
Yeah.
studying self-awareness. It's the studying number. It's the student and professor, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Right? And then gaining all this knowledge.
Mm.
And yeah, study. It's about study, doing the really intricate work of studying and getting your head around concepts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And it's interesting that you chose 777 as the first one to say that you received. We're coming up to a date that's 777,
Are we? What date is that?
7th of July, 2023.
Oh yeah, of course.
It's a 777 code. And in the lead up to
Oh,
Dazzle's event, I was started receiving it. And then they raised $7,770. And I was giggling. I was like, this is so funny. And then it's just gone beyond because I've just realized we're about to enter a date that is 777. I'm like, that's why I'm still getting it,
that is awesome. Are
you
you
know?
playing on that day? That would even just
Which is no, but it's what's today? 4th?
today is the 6th, isn't it? 6th. Yeah.
Oh, today's 6th. What's tomorrow?
That's tomorrow.
777. Because I don't really do time. I'm hopeless with time.
Oh, me too. That's why I'm like looking down. I'm like, who am I? What is it? Okay, yeah. All right,
Yeah.
excellent.
7th of the 7 in a
Tomorrow.
7 universal year, 2023 equals 7. So it's 777. Yeah, tomorrow. It's tomorrow.
Tomorrow. So that's why we
No,
had
but
to announce the day. And by the time people watch this, it will already have been passed. But still, it's a frequency, so you can tap in anyway. But yeah.
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 So and I love what you said. So what it comes back to. So when this started exploding across, I saw, I got onto Facebook and I'm like, okay, people are starting to realize numbers are a thing,
Mm.
right? And around that time Q came out, right? And it made this explosion of people wanting to decode information.
Yes.
And then the gematria thing started going viral.
That went
Now
nuts.
everyone's talking about numerology, and I'm sitting back here going, yeah, I was talking about this stuff like
I'm old
2012,
hat,
you know,
mate.
like,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm like, why is everyone suddenly getting excited about numbers? Now, I love that because it was playing, you know, like putting aside the political affiliations with whatever the operation that is Q
Yeah.
that was created and whatever it is. I love following it because not just because of the political persuasion stuff, putting that aside, it gets people to look at language as vibrational energy and numbers. It's getting them to decode, and they're becoming master numerologists by going, I need to understand this because I really want to know what's going to happen, you know?
Yeah.
And that's why I really particularly love the Q thing, not so much because of the political aspect, but because of what it's done to people. It's turned people into their own masters of decoding.
Yeah, they have
Right?
then taken the reins themselves and doing their own research. So for people who might not have done that before, that
Yep.
would be so good for them. Again, their
Yeah.
path.
It's only a positive, you know, and those people that bag, oh, QAnon, Q guys, oh, they're all extremists, blah, blah. You know, that's all just, that's natural polarity. You're gonna, if
Yeah.
it's having an impact that's having a positive impact while we're fighting the war we're in right now, of course, the natural thing is they're going to kick back and say, oh, you're a bunch of idiots and, you know, extremists and all that. That's
Yeah.
the natural polarity, and that's fine. No problem. But look at what it's done for people. It's actually been amazing,
Yeah.
you know.
Amazing. He said.
So as we go through into this 777, the other thing we do, and getting back to what you said, feel into the number. When you receive a code, right?
Yes.
When I was first in those groups, I was alluding to this, but I got off the track. Everyone was going on the internet, and the only thing that was out there at the time was something called Joanne Sacob's Scribes, right?
Yes. Yeah.
There was only her, and there was Doreen Virtue's book, Angel Numbers,
Yeah.
right? So it became this in its first phase and iteration before Q came along and exploded, right? It was all angel numbers. So, oh, I got the code 222. Look it up. What's 222? Oh, your angels are trying to tell you to use your intuition.
Yeah.
Okay. And then 144. Oh, you're one of the 144,000 chosen souls. Blah, blah, right. So it became all angel numbers. That's all there was around at the time. And I was sitting here, and I'll admit, maybe I had a bit of spiritual ego at the time. I'd studied numerology. I'm like, no, there's so much more to this.
Yeah.
It's not just angel numbers, for God's sake. Come on, people. Like, there's so much more to this, right? So I was that when I got into that 1111 movement, I started sharing more in depth of what I was getting instead of going, okay, guys, yeah, all right. Angel numbers, great, positive, beautiful, love and light. It's gorgeous. Makes you feel good. Nice dopamine hit, right? But there's also a polarity to each number where it might be asking you to take action or address something within yourself, or look at the polar opposite vibration of the number that's trying to get your attention. And then people are like, oh, there's more to this. And then Q comes out, and then there's a whole nother aspect to information and decoding. So that's when I'm happy, because now the whole world is like, numbers. There's a lot more to it than just angel numbers. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And I love what you said the other day in the conference as well, when you talked about you were working with people and you were just giving them the information about their numerology and saying, like, giving them all the good stuff. But you realize that to tell them what they're here to work on and looking at their shadow side and look at, these are the things where you need to focus on, that was helping more and people were getting
Yeah.
more out of it. Yeah, that was a big
Yeah.
shift for you, wasn't it?
It was far more
Yeah.
valuable for me.
Yeah.
Also, because I had to go through the pendulum swing where, being Mr. Love and Light, right, it swung back the other way, and I had some really tough experiences that just completely broke me down. And then I went, well, I thought I was all like perfect and love and compassion, and I was all good. And then I had to have some experience. I'm like, oh my God, I haven't dealt with my shit.
Yeah.
And through direct experience, that made me become more balanced about, well, if I'm going to embrace this divine knowledge that I've been given with numbers, I need to be balanced about it. I can't aid and abet keeping people stuck thinking, oh, everything's fine. Oh, just
Yeah.
sit and be love and light. Again,
Yeah.
because then I'm attributing to something that's not actually helping people, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
That's like my worst nightmare.
Yeah, totally. Because you're just telling people what they want to hear then. And
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Beautiful. We're probably going long enough, huh?
Oh no, the time is, just so you know, 11:44.
There you go.
Of
There's that
course,
144
there it is.
vibration
Yeah.
reflecting back to us because we talked about it. It's interacting with us, and that's very much how they work. Yeah.
Yeah. How cool.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Love it.
So, Donovan, thank you so freaking much for today. It's just been awesome. I could talk to you for days. One day we'll have a yarn, a chin wag around the campfire and rock out and do some you play the drums and I don't know, I'll rock out, do some singing or something. But just
Awesome.
yeah. You're one of those people I've always wanted to sit around the campfire with, and now we're doing it virtually. So thank you so much for today. Is there anything you want to say before we sign off?
Yeah, the biggest theme that's shining through for me at the moment, and you posted about the other day. You do you, boo.
Yeah, you do you.
You do
Love it.
you. Have fun. Enjoy the journey. And you know what? Don't let anyone else sway you on your past. You know, your past is unique. It's important. You're amazing. Just fucking go be amazing and enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I
Love
got.
it. Love it. Perfect note to end on. You heard him, folks. All right. Thanks so much, Donovan. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. It's been awesome. And I look forward to catching up with you next time.